to the fifth module, user interface design. So last previous classes we have discussed about window arrangement, and the second one discussions we have done usability test, and the third we have discussed about different prototypes. So we are continuing the types of prototypes. Previous prototypes we discussed about the hand sketch prototypes and interactive prototypes. In interactive prototypes, I have told something called interactive prototypes is more comparatively sketch prototypes is better, because people will be knowing it is a usability operations. Today we are going to discuss about computer fed prototypes and as well as prototype oriented prototypes in details, along with the following concepts. So the previous class I have stopped with respect to the interactive prototypes advantages. Now we will tell that what are the advantages if it is in a interactive prototypes. Interactive prototypes is used as a dynamic sketches programs. It is compared to hand sketch. It is a programming oriented. Why? Because we are identified with the menu, we have identified with the screens, and we have identified with the windows. So we use a common programming concepts for using such things. So that will be done by using another third type of prototype, something called programming prototypes. So in programming programmed prototype, we call it as a program feds. Okay, program feds. So these program feds will act like a examples of the real world people. Okay, as we have identified in a interactive paper prototypes, we have defined the clear prototype with respect to the sketches. We have identified the proper menus, and we have identified the proper screen, and we have identified the proper windows. So proper windows, these windows, screen, and the menus can be developed, okay, can be developed by the programming languages for creating our real world things. Okay, so we will get a finished product, okay, finished product near to the finished product, so that the users can easily identified. When we are using a programmed concepts, we can use a clear picture, okay, clear pictures of using the tools. Okay, which tools? We are using a testing tools. By using a testing tools, we can use it. Okay, and we can create these type of programming prototypes is being developed along with the programming tools. So this will be a comparatively other two module. It is a medium fidelity, so we can believe it. Okay, so because when we are using a programming concept, so we are using some standard criteria. So slowly it is moving from medium to high beliefs, module. Okay, I module. So by using these type of things, that means instead of just sketch, not only a sketching or not only developing an interactive papers, if you are putting this to a system, and then using some standard programming tools for developing the menu as well as the windows as well as the screen, so that will be nearer to the real world abstract. Okay, when we perform such type of things, okay, by using a system testing, so it actually we use a first step, okay, first step of getting the information, getting the data collections of the data collection of the product by using a computers. So whatever we have done it with respect to the hand sketch, with respect to the interactive prototypes, so that is just a talk and chalk like that. So if you do it in the system type, then it is more advantageous. So we can write the corresponding changes, we can make a corresponding changes. That corresponding changes is being done with the computers with along with the programming languages like that. But when the disadvantage, this is the advantages, we can correct the actual data, real data when we are doing the programmed fed. So disadvantages is, so even though we have been used a real testing data, so the design rules is not been finalized. Okay, sometimes the modification is required, that modification requires take more time and little bit resources has been used it. So and sometimes when we are making a short the standards which is not been used properly, that may leads many changes. And while creating also, it takes more time for taking the programming concepts and designing and all. So it is not more effective in developing initially with respect to the programming tools. Okay, for that we go for a prototype oriented programming tools. Prototype oriented programming tool. In that prototype oriented programming tools, we are developing the all features with respect to the examples, like as we have defined in the programming fed. So this menu is been clearly identified, because all the menu which we are taken is with respect to the prototypes which has been developed by the AndSketch and Interactive. So here just we are using a programs for developing the standard by using some standard itself, by using it by standard itself. Here we are taking the working module and then we are going to develop the prototypes. So that prototype oriented programming fed plays the major role, and it uses the programming experts also. So actual programming will be used in prototype oriented languages, and it is a high fidelity. We can believe it. We can believe the concept, okay, which is being developed by the prototype oriented programming languages. So we can finalize it, and some disadvantages means like some of the programming concepts. If you use a less programming concepts, it will be more advantageous. Okay, like that. With respect to using a higher end programming concept, we can use it. So when we are by concluding this, when we go for the testing, first we need to identify the prototypes by using a hand sketch or by using an interactive, and we need to use an appropriate programming language for the prototypes, and we have to develop a prototype with respect, we have to develop a testing process with respect to the prototype oriented programming language. So they which leads to high fidelity by gathering a proper information about the product which we are developing it. So by this we can make the prototypes accurately. Okay, prototypes type accurately. Next, let us move on to the test kinds of testings. What are the kinds of testings we can do it? Okay, this is the next topic we are going to do. So till now, I'll brush up the concepts which we have discussed till now. We have started with the Windows for the testing. In the testing, we have started with the Windows for the testings. Next, we have understood the usability testing, the main purpose of usability testing, and we understand what do you mean by prototypes. Okay, we understand what do you mean by prototypes, and we understood the types of prototypes, 4 different types of prototypes like that. And now we need to understand the different kinds of testing, okay, this is the different kinds of testing. So we can list out the different kinds of testing today, kinds of testing. The first kinds of testing is something like confirming the requirements. Okay, whenever we were doing the testing operations, we need to confirm, okay, what are the requirement is required. So that is being done it in the step 1. So we can listing out the kinds of testing, like operations we have done with respect to the Windows testing like that. So the first step is confirmation of requirements. Confirmation of requirements. Confirmation of requirement means this is the things which we have already gone through from it. Okay, from these confirmations, what we have done it, we have confirmation of guidelines of good designs. So you people have been seen in the previous videos. Okay, so guidelines of designs. Guidelines of designs plays the major role. Okay, so we are identifying the guidelines, that is the second types of test we have done it. So after identifying the requirements by identifying the Windows designs and guidelines with respect to the users and all, we are identified the we have identified the design problems. We have identified the design problems. Okay, that is the third step. And fourth step, we need to make our users, okay, who are using those products should be easy to learn. Okay, easy to learn, that is the fourth steps. And fifth step is more learn. Okay, because we have to make the product which we are using it should be done it more learn over time. Okay, that is the fifth step. And sixth step, we need to identify the complete task, because all the operations which we are doing is with respect to the task itself. Okay, we need to identify the completions of the task, and also we need to speed up the process of the things, and also we need to use a error-free code. Okay, if any error occurs, that needs to be identified and it needs to be solved. And next one is we need to do this in a subjective fashions. Subjective fashion in the sense that whatever the operations we need to do it, that needs to be done along with the scope as well as purpose. That is what we have learned, right? So scope as well as the purpose. The scope as well as the purpose needs to perform users satisfaction. Okay, users satisfactions. So the main goal of the testing is to identify the requirements. That requirements can be done by developing a identifying the windows, and also identify the guidelines for the design process, and identifying the problems with respect to the design process with respect to the usability testing. And then we need to make the users to be used easily, and we need to make the users to learn more about the products by using a testing. And we always concentrate the usability test with respect to the task, and we need to speed up the process of usability, and usually we need to make the product with no error, as well as always we have to develop our product with respect to the scopes as well as the purpose, which will be represented in the form of subjective satisfactions. This is with respect to the different kinds of testing. Next class we will discuss about the heuristic test and other concepts. Thank you so much.